All right, guys, I'm just gonna wait for a few more people to jump in. We're gonna be talking about AI tools, how to build out some of your own, and whether it's better to build them or buy them. So I'm just gonna give it a couple more minutes here while people join in. All right, we'll start here. We'll give it one more minute, um, and then we will kick it off. Okay, cool. So I'm gonna kick it off now, and if more people join, I might recap some of this. But today, I'm gonna be showing you guys a AI Redline tool that I did something called vibe coding for, and we're gonna get into what that is in just a second. But really, what today is about is, AI is going to level the playing field for quite a lot of people in terms of building their own softwares very, very fast. And I think that, there's a lot of these enterprise companies that have very custom workflows that sometimes need very custom solutions. And this vibe coding style of building software is going to become very attractive to them. But in this, I'm going to go through, what the pros and cons are of building it yourself versus buying it. I'm going to show you how I built one with, I'm not technical. The exact steps I used to build, test, and launch it. What are the pros and the cons about maintaining your own AI tools? And we're gonna then talk about, should you build your own or should you really rely on these software companies and just buy it? I'll also give you guys a live demo, and if you stick around all the way to the very end, I have a special offer for you guys. So I will get into that towards the end of the presentation. But first, I wanted to just talk about, what were we really doing here in terms of building this AI Redline tool? And what happened was I was on a sales call with a construction company, and they were like basically telling us this wish list of like, man, if we had a red line tool that did this and did that and did this, uh, it would be amazing. It'd be a game changer. So I just wrote down bullet points, and his challenge was really about managing contracts and compliance paperwork, but also um, he was also talking about manually reviewing the contracts and redlining because it's time consuming and it's been causing errors and people miss stuff and timelines get skewed. So, I basically saw that, red lines can be done with AI. People have been using AI to review contracts for a long time. And basically what we could do is use this in combination with what's called vibe coding, which we'll get into in just a second, and come out with the goal of leveraging AI to build a custom redlining assistant. And we wanted this to be like something that a contractor had the idea for, and it was built for contractors. So we're going to get into again how we used vibe coding to do this. And it's basically vibe coding in a nutshell is AI assisted development here. But basically, we wanted to start out with this prospect and say, hey, if this software doesn't exist, if we wanted to build it, we need to get clear on what our goals are, and what exactly we want these functionalities to be. So, imagining you upload a contract and within seconds the AI highlights problematic clauses, suggests acceptable language, and even explains its reasoning. No more combing through every single clause to manually update or update multiple spreadsheets for tracking who's reviewed it and who hasn't. Our goal is to have this custom AI redline tool to speed up reviews, turn negotiation into hours or minutes, increase the accuracy that nobody misses any of the terms, and standardize compliance for a company. So again, it's clear, what we want to do, where we want to go. Building a software from scratch, if you're going to try to build one with AI and a tool, if you're not very clear on what that outcome is, the AI vibe coding tool isn't going to be clear either. So let's just talk about, what is vibe coding? What is AI first development? So if we're going to just talk about, I have a problem in my construction company and I want to build something, how can I lean on AI to help me build this? And vibe coding is essentially just like talking to ChatGPT as a developer, but instead of having to copy and paste code into a database, this is writing the code for you, and you're never seeing a line of code ever. And I'll show you guys how that worked. But you basically tell it in plain English. I told it build a tool that can upload a contract PDF, compare it to what we like our terms to be in our construction company and suggest red lines. And then we basically just had to connect a couple of things, and we have the tool that I'm about to show you guys in just a second. Vibe coding is a process. It does take quite a long time to do. It seems like it's very fast, but it's fast to get to like a first version, but it does take a long time to kind of like comb through and refine everything. And I'll get into, that and the pros and cons of, building out like a vibe coded AI built software for your construction company versus buying one in just a second. But in terms of how I built mine, outlining the requirements was really important before I started working on this. And again, we were on a sales call with a construction company. They were like, if we had this and this is our wish list of features, our lives would be great. So that was really easy for us in terms of outlining the requirements. In terms of vibe coding the application, once you know the pages that you want and the process that you want to follow, it's pretty easy. You basically just talk to it again, like you're talking to ChatGPT. It would basically generate a front end interface and a back end interface within minutes. And it's pretty mind blowing. So what I'm about to show you guys in terms of the demo here in a couple of slides is going to be pretty cool. Lastly, it's one thing for AI to be able to, code this pretty front end and, it's got these trackers for different things in your construction company, but this needs to be stored somewhere. So the good news is you can just vibe code that as well. You talk to the vibe coding app. I use lovable.dev, and I'll show you guys what I built on lovable.dev here in just a couple of slides. But all you have to do is basically say, hey, I need to store, these red lines. I need to know who submitted these red lines when in our construction company's review process. And I need to save that somewhere. And where do you save it? You save it in a database. So you're not necessarily manually doing any of this connection to the database. You're just talking to it like you talk to ChatGPT. Now, ChatGPT is not able to do any of this stuff. You have to use a very specific vibe coding application or website like lovable.dev. But I will get into that in just a second. So the last piece here is the testing and the iteration. Once you get it working, that's great, but there's going to be a lot of buttons that aren't not connected where they need to be. I uploaded sample contracts to see how the AI redlining was performing. I had to make some adjustments to, look out for this, look out for that, structure your replies this way. But again, this is all prompt back and forth. Like it's very intuitive to talk to the AI and just go back and forth with them on how to configure that. And then deployment. So finally, once you've tested it enough times and you're going back and forth with the AI developer that's basically building this software, you're going to just hit publish, and you have to make sure that everything's tested very, very thoroughly before you kind of want to release it to your internal stakeholders or companies. One thing in software, with contracts connected, or even this AI developed like in-house software for a construction company is, if you lose trust, or if people think it doesn't work, or if it doesn't work one time, especially around something as sensitive as contract information, you can lose their trust. People won't use it. So you, as a AI software builder, want to make sure that you're testing things out, because it's very easy to get it to a point where it's like good enough. But if you're not testing things along the way, you can sign yourself up for some headaches for sure, especially if you have internal team members using it. So I'm going to share a different screen now, and I'm actually going to show you guys what I have built from this. So here we go. This is actually our inside of our application here. I AI development tool did this entire thing. If I sign out, you guys are going to be able to see that our entire front end of this, even like the homepage, all of this was built with AI. I didn't write a single line of copy. I didn't write a single line of code. I just talked to a AI developer vibe coding application like it was ChatGPT, and I said, I need this for my construction company, help me build this. I put the front end here as like free trials just in case I wanted to send this out to the construction community. I even have like a demo here that I recorded.
Hey, my name
that,
is Zach.
that shows how it works. But yeah, I mean, it goes into every single detail. And I built this homepage after I built the actual like application on the inside. So it was able to know just based off the applications, that it's able to save a bunch of time when reviewing contracts. It's able to find missing critical risks. It's able to, remove that manual redlining hell from your life. So there's a bunch of features here. It shows like who it's for, like who can use this feature. It also shows a like live demo down here that you're about to see me go through. It also shows like a cost savings calculator. So again, all of this stuff was just built without me writing a single word, without me giving it like very clear instructions. I just said build, a really great homepage for the software. And it even does pricing and tiers. And this is pretty nuts because again, all I did was connect like a Stripe account to this, and now it can accept payments, and it, caps people at a free trial. So I'm gonna actually log in to one of my accounts here. Oops, here we go. All right. So inside of this now, I had to think through, how does my team want to work with this? If I'm going to build like a custom AI software for my team, how do I want them to work? So I wanted it to be able to say, I want to see what contracts are in review. I want to see which contracts are waiting on me. I want to see which contracts everybody is, approved. And then I want to be able to see all my contracts here. So in review, you basically can upload a contract. Once you upload a contract, it goes here. So, this is one that I've previously uploaded. I'm going to just view the details here. And you can see that, 3 people have been assigned to review this, and these are the departments that they're in. I wanted to track that. And these are all just ideas that I had with that one construction company on the call. But up here, once you're inside the contract, you have the compliance check, you have contract and analysis, you have a chat with your team, and you have a summary of the red lines that have been done so far. So, I've already started my review. You can see that this is 0% done. 3 people have been assigned to it, but nobody's finished it. In the compliance check, it was important for my team and my construction company to be able to say, there are standard terms that I want in every single contract, and I don't want to have to you know, prompt AI to go look for them every single time. So what I did is I had a page built out that allows you to add a criteria and a description. And what it will do is it'll check every single contract that we upload for these specific terms. Like I don't want anything over $1,000 in liquidated damages a day, change order pricing, retainage and holdback. And AI is now able every time I come in here to read out in the contract what's going on, look at my, instructions here, and then it will be able to give me a score on if it's been if it's in there or not. That also shows here on the contract and analysis. So you can see the whole contract that I've uploaded here. And then you can also see those three items. And I can have it take me to the page if I'd like. Now, on the focus areas, I wanted AI to actually come in here and recommend very specific things that me, as an executive, I wanted to do. And again, I just want to remind you guys that this is not me coding any of this stuff. I basically just typed in, I want different departments, and I want you to find that information in that department, and I want you to recommend what I should read in this contract. So if I'm coming in and I'm an executive or an accounting or a project manager, I could just say, show me everything that has to do with overall risk assessment in this contract. And it will actually take you through all of the different pages and all of the different text that you should be aware of. And once you finish this section, you can say, okay, I'm done with that. You can go to contract value and profitability. So this is going to highlight all of the relevant information for that. And once you go through and, if you want to say, I don't like this here, you can actually redline something and you can revise the text to say, they sent me a contract that says this, but I want it to say, 1, 2, 3, 4, because create the red line. And you can see that now when my team comes in here and does their reviews, they're going to see who's revised this into what. So I'm creating a whole collaboration tool here. I can also come in here and redline something and say, delete this. I don't agree. And it will show that, this is being recommended to be deleted by one of our teammates. So here's a really cool collaborative way for you to review, for you to submit your red lines, and for it to be visible for your entire team. And then lastly, AI is recommending a lot of these red lines as well. So, there's suggestions here saying, limit the subcontractor's liability to a reasonable amount to mitigate risks. It gives you why, the contract imposes a significant liability on the subcontractor. It gives you the original text, and it's going to give you the replacement text. So here's where it is. If you want to submit that red line, you just highlight it, and you can use this information here to, mitigate that risks. Lastly, you have a team chat here. So I wanted to be able to chat with my team. I wanted to be able to talk with them, but I also wanted to be able to talk to an AI assistant. So you're seeing here that I can chat with my internal team, but I can also click this and I can message AI and I can say, what are the payment terms? And the AI assistant will come back and read the document and be able to allow you to interact back and forth. Again, no coding. I built this whole thing in 1 week without any code. And this last page here, you're going to be able to see a summary of all the red lines that my team has actually recommended. And when you're ready, you can generate this red line report and send it off to the person that sent you the contract and get review that way. So that is a little bit about, what I actually built here. I'm going to get into some more details with you guys on, does it make sense? Is it the right move for you guys to build softwares like this in your companies? But it's pretty mind-blowing that I was able to build this entire AI Redline contract review system and software within a week with no code, and be able to launch it. So that person that I was actually on a meeting with that said, it'd be great if we had this, it'd be great if we had that. I messaged him a week later and said, here it is, it's done, and they're actually leveraging it right now in their company. So I'm gonna switch back to my presentation here, and I'm gonna share a little bit more about the details. So I did the demo for you guys really quickly, but in terms of the custom tool, you can very quickly, like in a week, massively improve the processes within a company. So if you come in and you're like, hey, this is a messy process, I'm going to build my own tool. There's some massive time savings, that can be leveraged, and that's why we build software and buy software in general. We're trying to optimize our businesses, we're trying to optimize our operations. And now that anybody that can use ChatGPT can also build their own software tool, it's really going to open the floodgates to a lot of really innovative ideas, because I think that the people that are in the trenches doing this work every day, they're the ones with the ideas on how these tools should work, not, most tech startups that think they know how a construction company runs, but, they don't actually. And coming down here, we had consistent, safer reviews. The AI applies the playbook every time. You're not missing any clauses. If a subcontract's 75 pages long, nobody has that kind of attention span these days. So this is able to flag that risk and read it thoroughly without getting tired. Smarter teams, junior staff can now move more confidently. Companies can hire you know, younger talent at a lower price, but also have them come in with all the experience that they need by leveraging different tools, different softwares, different AI flows. And lastly, it's custom. It's built for us. You can build these tools to really be customized to your workflow. You can have it custom to who in your company should receive an email if something happens. You can have it custom to the exact terms that you guys want. By vibe coding anything for your company, you're unlocking this level of enterprise customization that had before only been available to massive, massive multi-billion dollar organizations. Now, what are some things to be really careful about when building your own software? So if you're going to come vibe code something like I did, and I built it in a week and I moved really fast and I'm all about, let's use it, let's get it in the hands of some people and let's launch it internally. AI coded applications can be really good for some things, but it's not good for everything. So something that you really want to consider, especially if you're building in the federal sector, or with any sensitive information, the AI code quality of vibe coding, it gives us a really fast start, but sometimes it can start out, buggy. And while building the first version is easy, maintaining it is going to be the real challenge for a lot of these companies. Every AI generated feature still needs testing, debugging, testing, finding what's working, what's not working, and then refining that thing. Now, the next thing here is ongoing maintenance. Just because you built out a really cool AI coded application and you launched it inside your company doesn't mean you're never going to have to touch it again. A lot of these DIY tools mean that you're now the software company. And that's something that I think a lot of people overlook when they're like, oh, I'm going to vibe code this. You need to take on the responsibility of the maintenance now. And when things change or if somebody wants a new feature, guess who has to do it? You have to reprompt and the AI is always going to be changing, processes are always going to be changing. So it's just something that, it's not one and done. You have to consider that you need to have the bandwidth to maintain this custom solution for your company. The next thing here is security. Security really matters, and especially around contracts or sensitive data. Unlike commercial software, like, we have our main product, Contracts Connected, that automates the entire back office. Um, this is going to be something that's, vibe coded by AI, AI platforms. And when you're using these AI platforms, yes, they're using like some really basic security. But again, if you're going to be uploading some stuff, you should have a professional take a look at how the security is implemented, and just to make sure you're not going to get hacked. A lot of this AI vibe coding development software is trained just based off internet kind of code that it can read, and it's all public code. And if your whole software is built off like public code databases, hackers, if they really want to, they can figure out how it's built. And I have a feeling that, vibe coded softwares are all going to have these like very, very distinct patterns in how they were built. We're already seeing some stuff be, patterns in terms of design. So, just something to think about. Security is a big thing. AI does have its limits. General AI's misconstruction specific contract nuance. That's why we trained ours with the custom team. So basically, it's just down to the prompt. You're gonna have to be prompt engineers. You're gonna have to be able to come in here and say, if I want to use AI, I need to test it and I need to refine it and I need to give it proper instructions. And then the last thing is like humans do still matter at the end of the day. This particular use case is very, very heavy on human involvement still. There is a big push in the industry, and I do truly believe in a more agentic future. But that future of, AI actually doing everything from like, you know, I had AI receive this contract, do the red lines, and send back the red line recommendation without a human in reviewing it at all. That is still in like an early adopter phase. Most of these tools do need humans to be interacting with them at this moment. But that's not to say that can't change here very, very shortly. So, what this really comes down to is you guys have a need in your company, or you have a messy process in your company. You want to change it. You want to do something with it. You want to improve it. And it's really down to, do we go buy a software or do we build our own? And a lot of times people, do build their own things. Like they build their own Excel trackers, they build their own communication, processes. They build their own standard operating procedures. So this isn't really any different. I do think that a lot of standard operating procedures will be turned into, custom little one-off softwares within companies like this because it is becoming easier and easier every single day to build their own. But let's talk about, building a software versus buying and, what's going to be right for you and your company. There's a few factors that you kind of need to take into account here. So, custom fit versus best practices. Building lets you tailor features, language, and workflows. Buying gives you proven industry standards, better if your process isn't unique. So, if you, again, don't have a super unique workflow, that no software is solving for you, and you guys have searched and searched and done multiple demos and there's nothing out there, or what is out there is costing like 10 times what your budget is, then you can come in and you can build your own. But I would say that there's a lot less headaches in buying a software from a company that has a dedicated team supporting that software, fixing the bugs and building up innovations that maybe you guys haven't thought about. A lot of these software companies like us, we talk to customers every day. We see a wide variety of how companies do things. We try to build our software so it fits everybody. But at the end of the day, you know, um, sometimes there's one-off things that you just need to build yourself. Cost trade-off. Do it yourself is cheap up front. It's just time and a really cheap subscription, but time adds up really, really fast. I mentioned that it took me a week to build that software, but if I equated it into hours, I definitely spent like 40, 50 hours within that week, really, really trying to refine this, working late, trying to talk to AI, and sometimes AI doesn't get it right. You have to work and message it back and forth just to fix a simple email. issue. And the next thing here is support and maintenance. So bot tools come with updates, help desks, support teams, but build it yourself. You become IT. And if you have a small tool, that's great, but you got to think about, how many people are going to be using this. If I build this for our company, if my IT guy builds this for our company, that's a whole nother job of him supporting people on your team. So if somebody has an issue logging in, guess what? Whoever built that, that's their problem now. If somebody has an issue with one of the buttons, guess what? That's whoever built its problem now. And construction companies are, already underwater in terms of to-do lists. Adding to that to-do list by becoming a software developer while on top of your full-time construction job isn't always going to be the best option. Security and reliability, again, I think I touched on this just a second ago, but vendors offer tested, audited, and secure tools with really, really great best practices around keeping your data secure. And your own tool is only as good and as safe as your testing is. So, if you don't know a whole lot about development, maybe if you are going to develop your own tool inside of a vibe coding application, you should still have a professional come in and help you, beef up the security around it, just so you can make sure that your information is safe. Speed of innovation, with control, you can actually reinvent the entire tool within minutes. But a downside of this is you might think that if I have a one process in my construction company and somebody brings up a new idea of like, oh, wouldn't it be great if we all got an email notification about this one thing when you know Zach finishes his review, that one little update can snowball very, very quickly. And then before you know it, you're rebuilding the whole thing, and you have a whole week's worth of work gone again. So the bottom line is, building your own, custom solutions for your construction company, is now realistic for the first time ever, which is really cool. Again, if you can talk to ChatGPT, you can build out a custom software, and you can do it without a development team and without an IT guy. But, it comes with responsibilities. Those responsibilities being, if you're going to build out your own tool for your own company, you need to be aware of the security. You need to be aware of, if somebody has an issue, you have to fix it. You need to be aware of the time that's included in maintaining a custom tool. For unique internal tools, do it yourself is probably going to be a good option. If it doesn't handle sensitive data, if you guys are like, man, we have this Excel sheet for this tracking, and if we could just automate that, or if we can make this more of a dashboard view instead of an Excel sheet, and this dashboard, updated, and it was a link that the whole company could always see in regards to certain statuses on certain things, awesome. Let's vibe code it. Let's use one of these vibe coding applications to do it. But for higher stakes things, like contracts, compliance, if there's accounting involved, buying a real software from a real software company is likely the direction that you need to go. Now, that's not to say that these AI vibe coding tools can't get there one day, but it's certainly not there yet. Now, in terms of, the future is here. A few years ago, building what I showed you guys just a few minutes ago in terms of the AI contract review tool. And if you're just joining, don't worry, there's going to be a recording that goes out for this as well. But the future is here. That tool used to be having to take some teams, you know, man, I would say it would have taken like 3 to 6 months to build that out. And it would also have taken hundreds of thousands of dollars. What I showed you was built with, I think it was a $25 subscription to an AI development tool, and it was built in 1 week. So $25 in 1 week, plus a little bit of your time, compared to 6 months and hundreds of thousands of dollars. The future is here in terms of, companies can build their own tools for their own organizations. This is empowering builders. Construction companies have a lot of unique processes. I've never seen two companies operate exactly the same. I've even seen two construction companies use the exact same software, like Procore, extremely different ways. So I think that this AI Redline tool example that we shared to solve a challenge inside of a construction company is a good example. But the bigger story is that anybody can now build these tools for them. You guys know your business. You guys know how you operate. You guys know what's important to you. This AI now allows you to take any messy process, any time-consuming process, and you can pump it out into a tool in just a few seconds. Um, the upside is speed, customization, and control. But building your own tool comes with real responsibilities. Begin with low-risk projects and learn the process and let AI guide you. You don't need to be a developer. You just need to be able to know what the tool should do, and you can talk back and forth to it. So I'm going to actually share a different tab really quickly here. We're going to go back to the tool that I had built. But lovable.dev is exactly what we use to build this. And I'm going to just show you guys how easy it is to start your own. So you can actually give it a try. So I have a prompt in here that I wanted to show you guys how quickly this will work. So I can just say, I want to build a tool for my company. This tool will be a company-wide dashboard. We will want to display our team member of the week, show progress on 5 to 10 different projects. And let's just say, and show a calendar of all important meetings team members should be aware of. Cool. So it's as simple as that. It's ChatGPT. But in terms of like developing, it goes further than that. So what's happening right now is it's reading my prompt, it's thinking about, if they want to do this, they want to do that, then I need to build these things this way. So I'm building out a custom dashboard, that doesn't exist in the world right now, that's very specific to what my team thinks is important. And I'm using a dashboard example here, but I showed a really complex redlining negotiation tool just a second ago. And the sky is really the limit when it comes to, what you can think up and what you can do. And while this is working, I mentioned earlier that I would share with you guys a really special opportunity to join a community if you guys stuck around to the end. And I wanted to just talk about that really quickly. We have what's called AI Blueprint community, and the AI Blueprint community is a kind of like a free school right now that we're releasing. And this free school is going to continue to evolve. And what we have here is the first 50 members are free. Today's the first day that we will be launching this. But this is essentially going to be a hub for the construction industry to come learn about AI tools, learn about prompting, learn about tools like this where you can, develop your own features, you can develop your own optimizations within your company. We already have 17 beginner-friendly lessons here built for the construction industry. We're going to be doing weekly live webinars like this Tuesday. So if you guys came to this Tuesday, There is going to be another one next Tuesday and for all the Tuesdays after. But inside of this community, I will be starting office hours. So I will be just sitting on a meeting, answering questions every Thursday about, hey, how do I use this? What can I build with AI? How can I improve this process? I'm having trouble, thinking about how I can optimize this. We want to use AI in our company. We don't know how. We will be talking about that every Thursday. We'll be doing tool breakdowns. We'll be giving you prompt libraries and automations that you guys can just turn on and steal for free in here. There's going to be a network of other construction professionals that are actually using AI in their companies that you're going to be able to chat with in here. And we're going to continue to optimize this. So this is actually free. We are launching it today. Today's the first day. And I'm going to put the link to it in the chat here. The first 50 people are free. And then the pricing is going to tier up from there. But because you guys came to this webinar, you are actually the first people to know about it. So go ahead and click in there. It's all free knowledge. We're going to be giving out a ton of value. So let's come back to this prompt that I put in here. So I said, I want to build a tool for the construction company, and I want it to be a dashboard, display all these things. So if I now come over here, you're going to be able to see that AI thought through this and it drafted up a pretty cool first version. And I can then just chat back and forth with it. So, we have 12 active projects, 87 team members. This is our budget, completion rate, safety score. These are important upcoming meetings. Where are they at? That kind of deal. Team member of the week for this week is here. I can have, a system where I can upload images. These are all of our active projects. And we can kind of build out navigation here if we want. So you can see it has some stuff here. And for instance, just to show you guys how easy this is to use, I could just say the navigation menu on the right isn't visible. I need the text be black on the white background. And you're just going to chat with it back and forth. And I built an entire tool for my internal team, just chatting back and forth with this. Again, this tool right here is called lovable.dev. They do have a free account, and you can build quite a lot of stuff with even 25 credits. So it's pretty cool that way. But here you're going to see that it's thinking. You can say, I can see the issue. Perfect. I fixed the text visibility, and you can see that it didn't fix it. So you guys are going to see me debug this really quickly. And I'll just say, so you're just going to go back and forth. Once I get this to show this menu, we'll switch gears here. But if you guys have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. And I'm happy to kind of go into this a little bit deeper. If you have questions about, what can be built here, if you have questions about any of that stuff, there is a Q&A system in here, but there is also a chat system in here. So feel free to use either one of those if you do have questions. Here we go. It is still not showing my navigation. So now we're getting into some prompt engineering here. So I added in think step by step to resolve, hoping that this is going to spark a little bit more thinking from the AI development tool. And you can see how, it seems really easy. Like, okay, we just want to change one thing, but it can very quickly snowball into something that's going to take quite a long time. So here you can see that it's actually editing the code, which is pretty cool. If you ever did want to see like what it's actually building, there's like a code mode here. I've never used this code mode, but it is actually writing code on the back end. And here you can see we got our text here. So you would just continue to go back and forth with it and say, okay, now I want to build out, projects. I want to build out the calendar page. I want to build out different accounts for different employees, and you guys can go from there. So I don't see any questions coming in. I don't see any hands being raised here. If there are any questions about, what is vibe coding, what can be built, what can't be built, any of the details, feel free to put them in here. I will hang out for a few more minutes. But other than that, I will be sending out a recording to this video. The AI blueprint is actually going to be a really, really cool community that I'm really excited about. We already have one course in here, and we are building out two more courses as we speak. Okay, I see Rosemary. I'm going to allow you to speak here if you would like to unmute yourself and ask your question.
Sure. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
All right, perfect. I think I believe you mentioned that in the chat you would be putting a link to this, but I
Yes.
don't see anything, or maybe I missed it, or you haven't done that quite yet.
Let me see here. I'm gonna say this. Oh, here we go. I did put it in the wrong area. Thanks for that.
No problem. Thank you.
Can you see it now?
Yep, I can see it now. Perfect.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, thanks for that. You just saved everybody some confusion.
Thanks.
Cool. Alrighty. Well, if there's any other questions, I am happy to stick around and chat with you some more. But the link for this school community is in here. It is completely free right now, so there's literally no harm in joining. It's free forever for you, and it will tier up on a monthly basis after that as we add more courses. We're really going to lean on our community members to help us decide which courses to build next as well. So I will be here for the next 3 minutes or so. If there's any questions, feel free to ask them. Otherwise, I will be sending out this meeting recording along with the link in an email here either later today or tomorrow morning. So thank you guys for coming. I hope this was really insightful to you. You can build anything you want now without any coding experience, and you can really optimize either your personal, workflows at your company, or you can come to the company with, hey, we have this messy process. We don't have like a true software. We don't want to buy something expensive. Let's build it ourselves. It's not super sensitive information. And that's really what you're gonna be deciding. So yeah, guys, thanks for coming again. And I will see you guys next Tuesday. I will be presenting on, a little bit more of, how to use AI to build out certain things. And I will be also, as our community grows in AI blueprints, the AI blueprint community is going to choose the topic that I research, that I test, that I build out, and that I present on Tuesdays. And again, every Thursday, I will be offering office hours starting next week, not this week. And we will be able to just sit there, chat about AI, what you're building, what you want to use in your company, any of the industry insights that I have that I'm learning by building AI tools every day for the construction community. So yeah, happy to help. All right, guys, that's it for me. And I will just turn my camera off, but I'll hang out here for a couple more minutes if anyone wants to chat about anything specific. Otherwise, thanks for coming, and I will see you guys on the next one.